Hi guys, Extra Talk here. We have Sabi with us, we have EyeJax with us, and we have Kabir with us as well. Nice shirt, by the way, Kabir.
Thank you. Thank you. When I get into the Ajax theme.
Very good. Guys, last week we spoke, about Wijndal. This week we're gonna talk about, as Sabi always says, mountain wine. So it's Bergwijn this time, and it's a deal. We're recording on a Thursday. Tomorrow we will upload it, so it will be simultaneously with the presentation or the contract signing of Bergwijn. Yeah, we know the price, we know the fee, we know how long it took, we know all these kind of things. So let's reverse, go back, think about the whole thing, and let me know what you guys think of this deal. Are you guys excited? Are you guys happy? Are you guys buzzing? Let me start with Sabi, because I was waiting for this day for a long time. So let me ask Sabi what he thinks of the Bergwijn deal.
Well, to start with, I'm not unhappy, but on the other hand, definitely not as ecstatic as many fans of Ajax. I mean, this whole transfer saga was, you can see it like a movie. I mean, it started as a drama because the deal almost collapsed because of the offer that Ajax wanted to bring to for Bergwijn, but then it freaking changed into an action movie. 30 million, 32.5 million. It's wow, just wow. But for me, it's a comedy. It's a comedy. It's ridiculous how we first started with 18 million and then ended up with 32.5. It's ridiculous. So I'm content about Mountain Wine coming, even though he still needs to apologize. But the reason why I'm content is because Haller left. Last year, I was against it because we already had 3 players up front who would always play. Haller would definitely play. You got Tadic, our captain, Anthony. Nobody's better than Anthony if you compare it with Mountain Wine. So basically, now could be the time to arrive. But with that transfer fee, I think it's a joke.
So you wouldn't have done it, knowing now that it was 30 million, 32.5? You would have said no. If it was up to you, you would have said no, we go for someone else.
I would have said no already months ago. I mean, 25 million was already a lot. And fans were already complaining like 25, all or nothing, no, we should leave. And then all of a sudden, when it was 32 million, yeah, we got him. I mean, they probably changed their mind, but I didn't. I think it's good player with bad business.
So, Sahbi, okay, so you're very clear on that. Kabir, were you one of those fans that Sahbi is mentioning? You know, you were like, no, 25, and now you're buzzing, you're jumping up and down.
No, I'm. Let me just say, I'm looking at it from a different viewpoint to Sabi. I'm actually pretty happy that the deal has gone through. I think that 2 things really to look at. If you look at, okay, why have we paid this much? One, Daniel Levy, he is a renowned tough negotiator. Ask anyone that's done business with him. He likes to squeeze out every last single penny. And also, bearing in mind we've got 2 new guys, H2, looking after all of our transfers. It might have been a different situation if we had Overmars, because he's obviously a very shrewd negotiator himself. So I think that there are a couple of elements that we have to look at. Also, the current market that we're in, right? And it's I think it's a fair price for someone who's 24, in the peak of his powers. Very likely that if we do sell him after a few years, it'll be for more than what we bought him for, and sort of a direct strengthening addition for the team who can fit right in. So I think that there are enough ingredients there for me to think, actually, hang on, this is a great bit of business. Of course, we all like to spend as little as possible with any purchase, but I think it's fair and equitable for all parties concerned.
Sabi, you want to react on that? You can react. You're shaking your head.
Okay, no, yeah, of course. No, I don't. I definitely. I mean, he's a good player, as you mentioned. I agree with that, but the fee is definitely not fair if you look at what happened. If you look at 2.5 years ago, he came for 28.5 million from PSV to Tottenham.
I think
didn't play.
Honestly, I think it was 30 million, and they had a bonus up to 32.
Okay, from what I've read, it was 28.
Basically, we're paying the same amount, more or less. Then
okay, but according to the transfermarkt.nl,
Okay.
that's which I follow,
Okay.
it was 28.5.
All right.
And
Probably bonuses or something, but
Yeah.
the total amount is
most
what
likely,
Juan is saying.
but those bonuses were not given because he didn't play.
No.
So
No.
no, but I mean, 2.5 years ago, he didn't play. He didn't play a lot. When he played, he scored a few goals. Okay, some important, but he wasn't an asset for Tottenham. So it doesn't justify, in my view, that amount. We can all say, well, he is he's a good player. He has that speed. He has that depth. He's exactly the profile that we are looking for. I agree upon that, but there are several other players who have the same profile, which shouldn't cost that much. I mean, if Bergwijn would play all those games, or at least was a starter at Tottenham, I would say, okay, it's justified. He played great. He wants to come to Ajax. He wants to play Champions League football. He wants to have his, he wants to create his chances to get to the World Cup. Okay, I can imagine that. But looking at the current situation, it just doesn't justify it. Neres has almost the same profile. He didn't do well. So why would we put so much pressure on Bergwijn? Because there will be pressure at once for Bergwijn, because everybody's assuming he will do it for us. He will save us. He will put us in the Champions League on the he will do all the great things. I need to see that. People are saying we're going to sell him for 50, 60 million. I need to see that. I don't know.
EyeJax, I want you to react on your view, on your thoughts, also what you think of this deal. And maybe you want to react on Sabi or Kabir. Where do you stand in this? Are you jumping up and down like Kabir, or are you a little bit upset like Sabi is sounding right now? A little bit.
No, definitely not upset. We have enough money in the bank, but doesn't mean that you have to spend it recklessly. Although, Juan, if you see that Sinisterra is leaving for 25 million, and part of what Sabi is saying, part of what Sabi is saying, I can understand, but you have to also consider we're in a different league at the moment. We're not the same Ajax as 10, 15 years ago. We're selling players for a lot of money. We're starting to maybe outgrow. Not that we do not have competition within the Eredivisie, but we're starting a little bit to outgrow the Eredivisie. We're starting to attract big players. We have more buying power, and with the more buying power comes certain chances in the market. So I do not agree with Sabi at all. Maybe with the price that we are paying, that we have to get used to it. But what he is saying doesn't make sense at all, because if Bergwijn was playing all the time at Tottenham, if Bergwijn was always scoring a lot of goals at Tottenham, Bergwijn would not be a realistic target for us at 21 years old, performing well at Tottenham, playing each week, because we could not buy him then, because they want to keep him because he's performing well. So you have to take this in consideration also. So if he would have played a lot at Tottenham and would have scored a lot of goals, no chance that we would have been able to sign him. That's one part. The money part, I can understand what Sabi is saying, but we have to also take into consideration, we are asking a lot of money to Man United, for example, 80 million for Anthony. This is a fair market price, I think, in the current market. If you just check the positions, if you check the age, maybe it's a high fee for Ajax history-wise, but other clubs, maybe in the Premier League or in other competitions, in the Big Four competitions, would easily pay this amount of money for this deal. So either we step it up as Ajax in the Dutch Eredivisie and buy him, so we can compete with these bigger teams in other leagues, or we pass him up and let another team buy him. Because without a doubt, the other teams in the Premier League that we're interested in, or maybe in other big leagues, they would pay 30, 35 million easily for him, I think. So this is my take on it, and I'm actually quite happy that we're done with it now. You know, I cannot handle another saga of Bergwijn and another 2-3 months with negotiating. Is it a deal? Is it not a deal? Just be done with it, and we will see how he performs. We can just go back to the Eredivisie. He played very well in the Eredivisie already, so he proved himself at this stage. So we can think that he can do the same at this level. We should see how he performs in the Champions League. That's another ball game. And considering what Kabir was saying, damn, now I lost it.
Which part?
Yeah, he said something that triggered me, but I had to wait such a long time that I don't remember everything.
Maybe it will come. Maybe it will come.
Maybe it will come. But
can I drop something? Can I drop something quickly
to
you, EyeJax? So you're mentioning exactly. You mentioned about the other teams that were willing to pay. Actually, Mike Verwij came also with a report after we knew the deal was done. They said that Everton and United were willing to pay the English price, which is 40.6 million, which is 35 million pounds. So, but Bergwijn said, no, I want to go to Ajax. So we got him for cheaper than basically if he would have chosen to go to Everton or United.
True. And considering what Kabir said, I think he said Daniel Levy is a tough negotiator. He definitely is. But I read up on the situation, and the information on the internet said that we barely negotiated with him, and that it was with the director. And at the end, it was like from the start with Levi. So and also, I now remember what I wanted to say. What Kabir said. He said maybe if Overmars was here, it would have been a different situation. With all due respect, I love the guy. I think he did a great job, but Overmars wasn't able to sign him like two times that he chased him. So.
But that's because we had Susan van Liederick, or
doesn't matter. It was a different situation. Like Sabi said, maybe it was 80 million at first. He tried to squeeze out the best deal possible, and it didn't work. You cannot say that we couldn't afford like 20, 25 million back then. He tried a certain negotiation. It didn't work. So Overmars has had his chance. You know, this is the market price at the moment. Do we want to compete? Yes. Does the club want the player? Yes. They settled it. And he's at the club now, and everything that's in the future, considering how he will play, considering how he will perform, we do not know, and we will have to see like every other signing. But I'm just glad that it's done now, and I have the utmost confidence that he will be an asset to the team.
Yeah, just sticking a little bit. Yeah, just sticking a little bit to the price, because you also mentioned something interesting about Overmars. Overmars was still in the transfer window in January. We made a bid for 80 million. I remember 80 million euros. We started this summer doing the same bid, also 80 million, which had also add-ons, etc. So we started, as Sabi said, we started in the summer also with the 80 million bid. Do you think, I will give this to Kabir, do you think, Kabir, that Overmars would have gone all the way up to 32.5 million to make this deal go through?
Yeah, look, I think Overmars' main interest was obviously to get the right players to strengthen the team. I think that Overmars probably would have ultimately settled for something similar or maybe something slightly less. I don't necessarily think that he would have gone over and above what we've paid. So I don't, the point that I'm trying to make is that I think that it would have probably made the whole process a bit more seamless if we had Overmars in charge as opposed to two new guys doing it. The circus might not have lasted for as long as it did. But I think the main thing is obviously to get the right people on board. And that's what Overmars displayed that he did do over the years that he was in charge and doing this job. So I don't see why he wouldn't have signed Bergwijn. It's clear that obviously he's been a target for us for some time now.
Yeah, absolutely. Sabi, do you want to react or do you have anything to add to this? Or can we move to maybe talking about Bergwijn's added value on the pitch? Because you had some question marks on Champions League level. But let me ask you another question. Where do you think he will play?
Well, let me first react on what EyeJax said, because
absolutely, go ahead.
I have the time. Well, there's at least one thing that which I agree upon with EyeJax, and that's that we're happy that the saga's over. I mean, that's something that's for sure. But with regards with what he mentioned as Anthony price market, that's comparing apples with oranges, because Anthony was a key player for us. And we don't have to sell him. He was a key player for us, always playing. He was our main man up front together with Tadic. Bergwijn, he was just sitting on the bench, doing absolutely nothing. Kulusevski had even more playing time if you look at it in the second half of the season. So that's the main difference. The price tag, I can imagine Tottenham asking for this, but Ajax, we were offering so much for him during third time, fourth time. There is a moment where we should have said, okay, we're done with this. We're done negotiating. If you don't want to proceed, 25 at least, etc. There is always a number 2 on the list. There should be at least a number 2 on the list in which you can, without without waiting until the last moment where Tottenham says, well, we're selling him to, or we're keeping him, where we get in panic and get like a panic buy, just as we did with Darami. So there is sufficient time now. Ajax need to put a price tag, like 25 million, we won't proceed. Bergwijn continuously stating he wants to go to Ajax. So they could use that leverage to look further. Otherwise, the price would have been lowered.
EyeJax, just a minute. EyeJax, I want to let you react, but can I just ask Sabi a quick question? Just come in. You're saying there has to be number 2, number 3, number 4 on the list, and that's the way it's supposed to be, right? But something tells me we've been pushing for this guy, as Kabir said, for quite a long time. That's number 1. And second of all, we went all the way from 80 million first bid to 30, 32 and a half just to seal the deal, which honestly tells me that they're not really very confident about the number 2, number 3, number 4 on the list that can do the same as Bergwijn.
It might be.
Am I wrong to assume this?
No, it might be, but on the other hand, it also might say that they didn't want to lose face. I mean, they went for the first time, second time, third time, and a lot of fans kept on pushing on social media, stating, "Where's Bergwijn? Where's Bergwijn?" They kept on waiting for Bergwijn. I don't know. I'm just saying something out of the blue, but it's impossible to state that there's only one player who costs 32.5. Don't tell me there is no player who has the same profile as Bergwijn, whether he's a known player or no known player, who costs 32.5 or less. Don't tell me, because that's something that won't be.
According to the reports, Schreuder really wanted Bergwijn.
Yeah, I mean, Ten Hag really wanted Bergwijn as well. I mean, of course, I can imagine. He's a good player. I'm just stating that we shouldn't put all our money on one horse, like betting on one horse. That's bad business.
Can I react, Juan?
Of course, EyeJax, go ahead.
I've been very patient.
Yeah.
Okay, so aside from the sentiment that Sabi has, considering this deal, I cannot disagree more with everything he's saying. I'm sorry. Like, for instance, we should be happy that we're in the position that we are able to secure these kind of deals. And I know it's something that we have to get used to because it's a lot of money. But also take the other external stuff into consideration. He's 24 years old. He will play at the World Cup. He's a starter, even though he didn't play a lot. He already played pretty well at the Eredivisie. It is a chance for us that we could sign him because he didn't play a lot at Tottenham. Otherwise, he would not be a realistic target. So also, as a bridge to Anthony, it is considering apples with oranges because he's a bench player. That's why he costs around 30 million. Because it's a fair value for his age. And if we do not want to sign him, that's another thing. But it's a fair value to ask for him, considering his profile, considering his age, considering he's an international. It's not that much of money. And Anthony, we're asking 80 million for him. Why? Because he played a lot, because he performed in the Champions League. That's the difference between the bench player and Anthony, for example. They are not asking the same price. So that's the apples and oranges part. And you also have to consider this. He has a resale value. He will not probably play 5 years at our club, although he signs for 5. That's also good business because you know that you have a few years contract left when he probably will leave the club. He will play at our club maybe 2, maximum 3 years. I can see us, with how the market is developing over the years, if we can get 35 million for Haller and pay 22, I can see us getting 40 or 45 million for Bergwijn. Maybe not 60, maybe not 70, but he will be contributing for 3 years at our club. He will help us in Europe. He will help us in the competition. He will be an outstanding player in the Eredivisie, like in the top category of players within the division. He will help us all those years, and I think we can sell him for more than we buy him. So, will it be a jackpot a transfer? No. Like a Martinez paying like 7-8 millions, I believe, and maybe selling him for 50? No. But he will be contributing for 3 years to our squad. These things you also have to take into consideration. And you should also be proud that we as a club, and I know it's a culture shock, are able to pay these kind of amounts. I'm not saying that it should be on a regular basis, but I believe that Bergwijn is in that category, outstanding category, that number 2 or 3 on the list is like too much of a difference. And that's my take, man.
Yeah, let me ask you guys 2 things. EyeJax, you just triggered me with something. So let me recap the deal as it was reported, right? It was 30 million initially, but Tottenham came with an email. Listen, if you're going to pay 30 million, you want it in 2 installments, basically paid. Ajax doesn't want that. So they said, you know what? We'll add 2.5 million to that, and you can do it in 4 installments. So that's one. The second thing I read...
I thought it was 5, sorry.
I thought it was 4, but okay. Anyways, so that's why they paid the extra 2.5 million. Then I read up also that, okay, Bergwijn will sign a 5-year contract, which is good, you know. But the other thing that is not clear entirely, and it remains to be seen, and hopefully tomorrow on Friday we will know more about it, is there might be a resale percentage included as well between the price that they pay, and if Ajax end up selling, let's say, 60 million, the difference between the 60 million and 32.5, they will have a percentage in that amount. I've read that. I don't know if it's true or not. We will have to wait and see. But it can be more expensive than what we're talking about right now. Could be. I'm not sure. We'll see tomorrow. Kabir, is there anything you want to add to what EyeJax said, or maybe what Sabi said?
I'm fully, you know, I agree with, you know, 99% of what EyeJax has said. You know, sorry, Sabi, but you know,
no need to.
I can't get my head around, and I think I tweeted this a couple of days ago. I can't get my head around Ajax fans complaining about this, because, you know, for the men, I won't go over it again because you know, I don't want to repeat it, but for, you know, the reasons that EyeJax mentioned. You know, there are so many things that can go right with this versus the things that could go wrong, and it's just, you know, I think a really good piece of business. Look, we're Ajax, right? If you ask any Ajax fan, they will all say the same thing. We're a big club. We're very different to, as EyeJax said, the Ajax from 15 years, 10 years ago, right? Like, this is what we aspire to. We've been doing well in the Champions League. We've been dominating nationally. So it's time that we play with the big boys. It's time that we make these types of transfers. Why not? If we've got the money, why not? It's not like, you know, we're taking a loan out to make this payment, or, you know, we're like financially in a tight position. We've got the money.
We're not PSV Eindhoven.
We're not Barcelona.
You know what I mean? It's not like we're getting a bunch of investors to get together to sort of rack up the funds like Feyenoord had a couple of years ago. We can afford it. And also, it's not like the money's coming out of any of our back pocket. You know, trust the guys in charge to make the right decision. And look, you're absolutely spot on about the culture shift. You know, we have to get used to it, because the more we keep improving, the bigger the name we get, the more income we'll get from these deep runs that we're making, and the higher the fee value of the people that we're selling. Next year it could be 40 million, 45 million, 50 million. But so what? If it's the right purchase, and that's the key point here. This guy has all the ingredients to be the right purchase for Ajax. The type of football that Schreuder wants to play. There's a reason he wanted to get rid of Haller, right? I was one of those guys on Twitter saying, look, Haller bangs goals. I'm surprised there's so many people happy. But I also understand that he doesn't fit the dynamic type of play that Schreuder wants to build on, that Ten Hag had. Bergwijn does. You know, he's got the depth, he's got the pace, he's got the finishing ability, he's got all the attributes. So I think, you know, I'm one of those guys that's like, look, let's put this to bed. I think it's been a really that we can get over the line. You know, Everton were in the race as well. There was 1 or 2 other clubs in the Premier League. This guy chose Ajax over a couple of teams in the Premier League. That says something about us.
That says something about Louis van Gaal. That says something about his power.
No. Like, I think, of course, maybe that played a bit of a role.
No, but it's not Champions League. It's not Champions League. That's
no, I understand, but it's Premier League, right? And you were saying, you know, can this guy bring us? Can he do well for us in the Champions League? Haller was a Premier League flop, but I personally think the fact that he played in the Premier League, the fact that he trained with Premier League players, allowed him to actually perform at that level in the Champions League. Because whatever way you look at it, the Premier League is probably the strongest and hardest league to perform well in. This guy is training with Son every week, with Harry Kane every week, with more, you know, some solid players that Spurs has. And that makes him better as well. That's why he was able to have those impacts when he came on.
I think definitely the league has something to do with it, Kabir, but I think something else is why he performed at Ajax, and like why Tadic performs at Ajax, because they were in systems that didn't suit them, you know. West Ham United was a counter-attacking kind of system, or like how they played. So he had to run a lot and like to go deep towards the goal and then try to finish goals, you know. With Ajax, they utilized him to be the last person just to hit the goals, to score the goals. Same with Tadic. He was playing relegation football and he was tracking back a lot and he could not play attacking football. At Ajax, he's always at the opponent's half playing attacking kind of football. We utilize his strengths. So it has to do something more with that, I think, than with maybe the league. But definitely the experience helps. But I think this is what Ajax is strong at also, and Ten Hag did well in the last years. He utilized the players and sees what their strengths are and try to make use of it. And not just try to just put in all the names without the balance in the team.
Yeah.
No, I understand, but I think you're absolutely right. The system makes a big difference. But I also think, look, let's be real. It's not going to harm a player's ability if he's training and playing in the Premier League every week, right?
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Going a little bit deeper, because we talked about the price and whether it's good business, yes or no. So we established that a little bit, different opinions, which is fine. Let's talk about the fact that, okay, we're signing him now. Where do you see him play? What effect would we have on the team? And what effect does it have on other players up front? I'm really interested in that because, guys, if you start mentioning the amount of players that we have up front, I mean, we lost Haller, but still we have quite a few good players. And don't forget the ones, Univar just signed the contract. Ihataro, we might, buy him, for 2 million and keep him. All these things, we still have Darami, by the way, on the left side. So what will happen with him? So all these kind of things, I really want to know your opinion on that. And I see EyeJax really, really wanted to talk first. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Because you were patient before. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to kick off if I can.
Yes.
I want to make a bridge towards this subject and say one last thing about Bergwijn.
Yeah, sure.
The reason why I think also the price is valid because it's a multifunctional player. You will not only get a player for one position; he can play maybe 3 or 4 positions. So he has a multiple position player that you can utilize wherever you need him the most.
Yeah.
So this is also something to take into consideration, But towards our tactics, I would play him probably as a left winger or as a striker. One of those positions, considering if we get Brobbey or not, and I would move up Tadic towards the central role. This can be a false 9 or this can be at the 10 position. I think this is the best way to utilize him because, in my view, if Anthony stays, he's definitely our right winger. If he leaves, I can see Mo Ihataro being of a very important role for us this season also. So those 2 players are sufficient enough to fill that role, both in their own way because they're different kind of players. Mo maybe more as a Ziyech role and Anthony as his own role, that we are used to of seeing him play. And I think that Tadic is always a great player for us if he plays central because he can distribute the play, he can play combination football, he can do everything Haller can't. Except score goals, but he can do that also. So for me, the more natural position to start with is probably the left wing. But it is a big puzzle, Juan, because we have so many players, and especially if Anthony doesn't leave, and maybe we sign Brobbey also, you still have Berghuis, you have Kudus, you have Klaassen, you have so many players for only 4 positions up front. So it is a difficult puzzle. But if I have to play him, I will probably put him on that left side or as a striker, considering if Brobbey comes or not, and move Tadic to the central position.
Sabi, your take on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think the majority of all the fans will say the same. They all see him as a left winger. The fans want to see Tadic more in the center. They could easily continuously change positions during the game, which is really difficult for defenders to defend. So yeah, left winger to start with, and then he can change.
Yeah,
nothing to add.
Tadic and Bergwijn are interchangeable in terms of they can play striker and go on the left wing. Are one of those or both of them, are they also a 10 option for you? EyeJax and Sabi?
Go ahead first, Sabi.
Well, I mean, Tadic played pretty well in the end of the season when he played in a 10 position with Brobbey in front of him, if I recall it correctly, and he did that properly. I don't know whether that would suit in the during Champions League football because you demand a lot from a number 10 player in the Champions League. You need to run a lot, and he's not He doesn't have that pace anymore. A lot of pace, Tadic. So I would see him in a 9 position. Especially, he's great in the link-up play. And Bergwijn to start with as a left winger. I don't see him as a 10. If I'm talking about Champions League football, because that's what counts. Basically.
So we know that Ten Hag played with one number 10 basically, and there was another player from the midfield coming also and playing if we're attacking as number 10 as well. But on paper, we start with one number 10. So let me say Schreuder does the same. I'm just thinking here.
Yeah.
What is your preferred number 10 player? Looking at our current squad, I want EyeJax to react on that first.
Ooh. This is a very difficult
so we have
question.
Klaassen, we have Berghuis, we have exactly. Kudus.
Maybe even Iatare can play at that position. You even have Nassi if he's promoted to the first team. You not have
you
to.
You guys just mentioned maybe Tadic is an option, maybe Bergwijn is an option. So
Berghuis played there. Not forget him. It's so difficult, man.
You don't have one name. It depends.
Because you attract Bergwijn and he will play at your club. And if he doesn't play as a striker, you almost have to put Tadic as a 10, I think, or as a striker. And maybe, you can play with Berghuis behind him, or maybe with Iatare behind him if Anthony stays. It's difficult, man. I don't have a clear answer yet. I think we have to see which players will move on and which players will stay at the club, because there are for me, I think we have now so many players for so few positions that maybe some will leave still. So, but for me, probably Tadic or Iatare, I can see them play there. And considering if Tadic will play striker or as a 10, if he plays striker, then maybe Iatare if Anthony stays. If Anthony leaves, Iatare as a winger, and then maybe Berghuis at that position, or a Kudus if he maybe performs a bit better. Yeah,
but a lot of oars, eh? I mean,
but give a clear answer then, because you will have the same problem if you're laying the puzzle within your mind, man. Go ahead,
Sabi. Go ahead.
In my view, I would love to see Ihataren as a number 10. I'm quite straight with that. He played that a lot as well when he was at PSV.
Doesn't he need a little bit more time to get fit?
Yeah, but
okay.
Yeah, of course he needs time. But eventually, I see him as the number 10. And
before that,
normally, if Tadic would play as a striker, you would say Klaassen, because Tadic is not a kind of striker that goes deep, whilst Klaassen does, especially with the link-up play. I'm not a fan of Klaassen to play him, but normally, in theory, he would fit the best in that position.
Didn't Berghuis show he's also capable of that?
He's capable. Yeah, well, he's capable of that, but more with a player that goes deep in front of him. So a type of player as Brobbey would definitely suit Berghuis. So you might make a combination like Berghuis with Brobbey or Tadic with Klaassen. Even though I'm not a fan, hopefully he will try other things. But Iatare could work out as well with Tadic.
That's a lot of oars, man. That's a lot of
oars.
But
I'm stating Iatare. That's Iatare.
Yeah, okay. So Iatare after a few, but Iatare will not play there at first, man. He needs to get fit and get match rhythm. So
I think he will. I think he's a right wing option for now.
Yeah, still. For now.
Yeah. Kabir, what's your take on this? It's a difficult question to answer, I know, but
look, I think it's horses for courses, right? I think that we've got a lot of options. We've got depending on how we want to play. So we obviously had Haller last season, who was tall, who was the link-up guy. So there was a lot of crosses that were coming in aerially that he was able to finish off. We now lose that, right, with his height. The only time we can try and play in a slightly more direct manner from the wings with crosses is if we have Brobbey. If we don't have Brobbey, then obviously Bergwijn's also not someone that you can whip crosses into and he'll get on top of it and head it in. So then it also depends, how do we want to play? Who are we playing against? Are we playing Champions League? Again, it's similar to what you guys are saying. There are many options. It could be this, it could be that. But I think a lot of it depends on, are we playing against RKC Waalwijk at home where 99% of the time we're going to be playing in their half? Or are we going to be playing against a big club in the Champions League? How do we want to play? Do we play with a false line? Do we play with an out-and-out striker? Is the attacks going to be built up aerially from the right-hand side? Because Tadic was very good, whilst I think that he's not very dynamic on the left-hand side. One thing he was very good at is providing those crosses aerially for Haller. One of the things that Anthony also was fairly good at was sort of whipping in on his left foot and providing that cross in for Haller. So like, what do we want actually? Like, what type of football do we want to play? I know the system will remain the same, and that's going to obviously not change from how we normally play, but the slight nuances. And then if we say, okay, we're going to play more direct, or we're going to play more, with a position play, etc., then we've got options. But I personally don't think Ihataren would be a good number 10. I think he's more a la Ziyech, right-hand side. There's shades of Ziyech to him. I'm a big fan of Klaassen. I think that he runs into spaces. I think he's a very effective player, so that could be a credible option for number 10. But I still think that we will stick to Tadic on the left, Mountain Wine up front, and Anthony on the left, and then you've got on the right, sorry, and then you've got either Berghuis or Klaassen filling in that number 10 position.
Interesting.
I do have to add one little thing there, Juan, because he was talking about Haller. But I think he did make a few important ones in the Champions League with his head. But if you look at the statistics, and I'm just doing it by memory now.
Yeah.
But I think maybe 10-50% max will be headers. All other goals are like tap-ins or with his feet. So the way Ajax plays, you do not necessarily need that big of a striker, And also with Brobbey, what he already said correctly, Kabir, if Brobbey comes, Brobbey has that leaping ability. You could see him head in that ball against PSV while he was injured. He has that ability to leap in the air and just head it also. So we do not have in Haller, we do not miss somebody who scores like Luc de Jong always did, a lot of headers. So I think we will be able to manage it even with Tadic up front.
For sure. It's more the aerial presence that he does have. So a defender's always thinking, right, how do I defend this guy? Do I look out for the header? Do I,
No, I do agree with Kabir. I mean, with regards to Tadic on the left side, the crosses mainly came from Tadic with those big crosses, whilst Anthony was more greedy, cutting into inside and tries to shoot from distance. So that's the main difference. And if you put Tadic in the center, you might lose that, because with Bergwijn, you will have a player who can cut inside. With Anthony, the same. So I won't say we will miss it from Ajax perspective, but we will miss those crosses in comparison with last season.
Yeah, I agree with the cross, but if you can be certain of one thing, is that Tadic, in which position he plays, he will find those players and he will give those assists. He will do it even as a false 9, as a 10, as a winger. So yes, maybe the amount of crosses that result into an assist could be less with a different type of player. But from Tadic, you do not have to worry that he won't give assists, because he will find a way to distribute wherever he plays.
I'm hoping basically, just to add to what you guys are saying, I'm hoping that because Tadic might go to a central role, I hope that then Bergwijn, Anthony, and maybe even Klaassen or Berghuis, they have to move around him, and there will be much more movement, much more space, much more depth going into. So it will be a little bit the same, hopefully, as 18-19, but it remains to be seen whether it works, yes or no.
I also think one last thing, that Tadic has a longer expiry date if we move him to a central role than keep him on the left wing position, because he's getting older and he is a beast, He is training a lot and he's always fit. But I think it's more demanding, in my opinion, as a left winger, because you have to track back a lot with the wing back and stuff, than maybe as a pure 10 or as a striker, because you can remain a little bit more at the opponent's half. So especially with how Ajax plays, I do think it will be more intense for him if he stays at that left wing position for the remaining of his contract.
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you look at Haller last season, he made the most meters whilst in striker position, because he was the first one who had to put pressure on a defense. So he ran a lot, way more than what Tadic did. And if Tadic would take over that role, he might have to do the same. So whether he's capable of doing it, I'm sure of it. I mean, he's fit, as you said, but he will run a bit more, definitely.
Okay. All right, guys, we have to move on. I just want to do one more topic, and it's because right before we came on, there was news about Brobbey, and we haven't talked about Brobbey, by the way, before. So the situation is clear. Ajax wants to pay a maximum of 15 million. Leipzig is asking for 25 million. And the latest plot twist, basically, is that Manchester United is also now, according to Bild Sport, interested in Manchester United. In Brobbey. So Manchester United is interested in Brobbey as well. So I had to laugh a little bit when I saw that. I mean, it's hard to think this is real. But I just want your initial reaction on this, and whether you can tell me whether you believe in this rumor. That's one. And second of all, what do you think we should do with the Brobbey situation? What would you do if you were Hamstellaar? Let me give it to Kabir first.
You know, Bild are a newspaper, which it's a weird one with Bild because they're one of the premium newspapers in Germany, but also a lot of what they come out with is actually really inaccurate. So there's a little bit of me that thinks that this could be a little bit of a ploy, maybe a leak at Leipzig that has said, put this story out to sort of fret, Ajax, us, and think, shit, Manchester United, ex-manager, it makes sense logically, blah, blah, blah. So there could be an element of that. If it is true, I'm staggered. Brobbey, the guy needs to prove himself that he can actually play one full season without getting injured or without having any issues. He's not, first and foremost, if he has any ambition of playing in the Dutch team for the World Cup, he's going to need to play every game, right? And the chances of him playing more regularly are there at Ajax than they are at Manchester United. He's definitely not ready for the Premier League. He's not going to play often with Manchester United. And I'm struggling to take this seriously, to be honest. The guy has love for Ajax. The guy knows that being at Ajax is the right thing for his career at this point. Do I think we should be paying 25 million for him? That's a completely different story. And that's where I'm a bit more sentimental with that, because I'm like, hang on, he walked out on us for a free, and now they're the one pulling the strings and telling us that we have to pay 25 million for him. I mean, that's a ridiculous. That is definitely overvaluation, right? Bergwijn, I can still see why he did it. 100% agree.
It's the same.
No.
I mean, did you see the words what Bergwijn said? It's also sentiment, all right? He was happy that we were. He was happy they were kicked out of the Champions League.
Yeah. No. Look, I understand that you have sentiment with the Bergwijn.
That's also sentiment.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it's Brobbey and Bergwijn. Like, come on, I still think that it's a very different proposition. But Bergwijn's going to be a sure starter for Ajax, right? I don't think Brobbey is even going to be a sure starter for Ajax. But the point I'm trying to make is that it's a ridiculous thing. He should not be going to Manchester United. He should either, if he wants to stay at Leipzig, will come to Ajax. But that would really, stagnate his career, I think, personally, if he was to go to United.
Okay, and then my second question that I had: what would you do if you were Hamstellaar or one of the two? How would you solve the situation? What would be your position?
I would try and get creative. I would say definitely this number and not further than this. I would try and say, okay, maybe we can talk about providing bonuses. If he hits a certain amount of starting or hit a certain amount of appearances, if he hits a certain amount of goals, if we reach X round in the Champions League, or do a little bit of a sell-on percentage. But I'm not going to be, if I was them, for that, I would say surely there is someone else on the list that we can go to. Surely there is an option 2 or an option 3 that we can look at. Because 25 million for Brian Brobbey? For someone who walked out on us 2 years ago, or a year and a half or 2 years on a free?
Sentiment.
Yeah, but also not realistic. 25 million for someone who's not.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. But it has the same. I mean, I use the same logic with Bergwijn. That's why. But I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm alone in this. I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts. Like, am I the only one thinking it's ridiculous?
No. I mean,
Sabi, take it away.
No,
Same
I mean, with the United part, whether it's true or not, I mean, I definitely think it's untrue. For the same reason as what Kabir said. But if it was true, then United is really so obsessive with Ajax, trying to get all of our players, but not only all of our players, but also the players that we wanted. So it's quite ridiculous if it's true. And as Kabir said, he wouldn't fit there at this moment. He's quite injury prone. Whilst in the Premier League, you ask a lot from your from the physical part. So no, I don't think he will go. I think it was meant to drive up the price, and that's it. Yeah. And with regard to the second question, I mean, that should be quite easy. 50 million was already a lot, but that should be the max. No penny more. with the same reason as what I mentioned with Bergwijn. We're talking about a player who was a bench player at Leipzig. He came for free, as Kabir said. Nearly played anything at Leipzig. In the last 6 months, with Ajax, he did well, but he was injured at the start. So it's ridiculous to ask 25 million. But on the other hand, it's their right to ask such an amount. I mean, he has a contract. So, but it's also our right to state 50 million or not, just as we should have done with Bergwijn. But apparently, the market is asking for this, as you all said. So it's probably justified they ask 25 million. I would never do that. 50 million, it stops and we should move on. Probably go for Circe or something that's 10 million. And I would be more content with that than paying 25 million for Brobbey, if I had to make a clean decision.
Yeah, EyeJax, before I go to you. So just to be clear, Kabir and Sabi, both of you are saying 50 million max. That's it. Not a penny more.
Not necessarily 15 per se. I just think definitely not 25, but maybe, around that 15, and then add in, like I said, maybe we can be creative around sell-on percentages or bonuses, etc., etc. So I'm not saying the total package has to be 15 million. I'm saying around that figure, and let's be generous, right? Like I said, we have the money, we can pay it, but definitely not pull our pants down and bend over for 25 million, because that's actually sending the wrong signal out into the market.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be the same with Bergwijn?
No,
from your perspective? Because but just to add, because maybe Brobbey.
We're talking about Brobbey now, man.
I'm continuing with.
He doesn't want to talk about Brobbey.
I'm using the same logic. That's why. But I'm continuing with Brobbey.
That's why you're wrong.
I mean, I assume Brobbey would get sold for a larger amount, because that was also one of the reasons. Like the resale would be, we would get that profit. So why not paying that?
No, that's true. That's true that there is a resale value.
So that's sentiment.
Brobbey.
So it's
no. But what you're getting in terms of, the dish that you're getting with Bergwijn is a very different dish to what you're getting with Brobbey, right? It's completely two different things. You're buying two different things, right? Like they're not the same.
Yeah.
So
but
that's
with
why
the same logic, but a bit with the same logic. No. Go ahead, EyeJax. Go ahead.
We're going to respectfully agree to disagree on this, right?
Of course.
Juan, did you want to add something before I go? Or?
No, EyeJax. You can react to everything that was just said.
Okay, hopefully I have everything in my head still, because it's a long time. Considering Brobbey, I do understand the sentiment, but I think you have to look at it from a business perspective also. So you have a certain squad that you have in mind for the new season. We have had like a great deal with Haller. We got some money from Gravenberg, and you have your transfer budget also. And maybe you have your 3 priority signings at this moment for the season. This can be Wijndal, Brobbey, and Bergwijn. And you do not know what you need extra if you sell some other players. But if it's your end goal that you want to go with these players and it's within your budget, then you have to make a logical analysis for yourself. Do I pay it and complete the selections as I want it because I have the room? Or do I do not pay it because the sentiment plays a part of it? But from Leipzig's perspective, I would not know why they should ask less. He has a long-term contract. For them, there's no sentiment involved. It's a great talent. He's still young. I think it's logical that they ask a certain amount. I'm not saying that we should pay it and bend over and just pay 25 million. Hopefully we can get there with 18, 90 million. So that's still a lot. But you have to ask yourself, do you have a better player on the list for a little bit less amount, But for me, Circe, it's not an option for me, It's like going from Brobbey to a player that I do not see the potential in as I see it in him. He knows the system. He knows the club. A lot of players need to adjust to the Ajax style of play, especially what we expect from a striker at an Ajax system, because it's quite a difficult role to fill in, It's not like hammering in only goals, usually. So this is the analysis that you have to make. But I understand the sentiment fully from both Kabir and Sabi. If I would let my Ajax heart speak, I would say, fuck it. we're not paying anything more than 15 million. But if he's that last puzzle piece that you have in mind, and you have a budget left of 25, 30 million, for example, it is justified paying it for him, although it is a lot of money. So from a business perspective, if it's the last puzzle piece you need and you have the room, you should just buy him and swallow your pride and go on with it, and probably sell him for more in the future, because you know you have a player that is ready for your team and that can be implemented. If you ask EyeJax, the Ajax fan, I have a problem with it because there's sentiment involved, but you have to be objective still. This is my take on it, man.
Okay, but
let me ask you guys another question. Let me put it differently now. So let's say the price doesn't go down to what Ajax is willing to pay, and Leipzig is still doing a Spurs way of, like doing the same as Spurs. I want this, and that's it. Is loan an option?
No.
Why not?
Because we don't want to make for the same reason why Brobbey wasn't loaned with a buy option. We're making a player of another club better for a short-term solution. We already had 1 year to seek for a striker. I assume, and again, it's assumption, that there is already another striker that we can get. Brobbey is our first. I would love him to be here. I would love it, but not at all costs. Not at all costs. And sentiment is, we're emotional. Fans are emotional. So sentiment is always included when you during a transfer. So sentiment is part of it, but also logic. As Kabir said, we're talking about a player who went for free. Leipzig has their right to ask this amount, but then again, I should not be stupid by barking and saying yes, okay, we will pay for it because we need him.
But may I add something, Juan? May I just give it another perspective here?
Of course.
We're Ajax fans, right? We love the club. We love watching the club. We love the players. We want to see beautiful football. Isn't it in the end something that we just hope the best players are in the field, and that we actually do not have to bend our minds over how much money there will be paid for? Because it's not our money. The club has to handle their business. If they pay 25 million for him, should we be sad about it? At the end, we want to see the best players on the pitch, and we want to see the best team. And if we're all agreeing, like Brobbey, we would love him at the club. Is money actually something that we, as fans, should be bending our minds over?
Yes. Can I answer this one?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yes, but it's not the most important thing. For me, I'm going to talk about how I see it, right? So I agree with you that for me, it's all about the talent, how talented the squad is, how good they are. And I want to show, they'll have to show it on the pitch. I want us to get far, to win the championship, all these kind of things. So I agree on that. The only thing is, like, if we go and break the bank this window, it would be a bit of a shock, like we discussed before, but I would be okay with it personally. But we have to be careful that this does not become a structural thing. Why? Exactly. I don't want to end up, we know how we were 10 years ago. I don't want to end up in that situation that we cannot buy any good players. We have to, luckily we had Overmars to find us steals like Milik, and I don't know what kind of players we got, and then we sell them for a lot of money afterwards. But every year, I remember, as an Ajax fan during those times, every year we had one good player coming from the youth academy. The next season he was gone. We couldn't even keep players longer than 1 or 2 seasons. Now it's a bit different. So I want us to stay like this, but at the same time, we are conscious fans as well. We know that the way that we can survive with these big clubs and go to the Champions League and these kind of things is also part having good business. Like doing our youth, getting talented players, and selling them eventually. So if we start breaking the bank and buying expensive players that are actually above market value, let's be honest, Brobbey, in my view, is not 25 million worth.
Exactly.
That's my opinion. No. So if we do that, one time I'm okay with it. Apart from the fact that he left for free, which stings me as well, I don't mind. But we don't have to do. I'm seeing now Ajax lately, also Haller, also these kind of players. We're trying, and not only that, we're trying also to get all the players that are very logical to us as well. All Dutch players, all players that are very, went abroad, maybe didn't do well. We can get them back and these kind of things. I think we should keep a balance there, and we should be careful with that. So answering your question, money does play a part, and we have to be conscious about it because we don't want to We don't want to end up as Barcelona in the worst case scenario. Let me put it that way. That's my opinion.
Can I add just one more thing? You talked about, because we didn't touch upon it, you talked about loaning him. What if? Because we all have our doubts, right? You hear arguments like, is he going to be fit for a few matches? Is he going to be able to play 90 minutes on a regular basis? He needs to prove himself still. What if we negotiate another loan deal with Leipzig and you get a fixed fee in your loan for 20 million, for example? Still a lot of money, but I think maybe that's doable. So what he does this season, does it affect what you will pay for him at the end of the season? It's still a same amount as they're asking for him now, you know? And what if you get a talented striker besides Brobbey also into the squad that can get adjusted to the style of play and implement at the Ajax squad also? Isn't that an option also, that you can see how Brobbey does that season? You have a fixed fee at the end of the season, but you also bring in a talented player. Maybe as at a list that Sabi is saying, we should get another player for that money. We should get another talented player for that money. Why not bring in a Brazilian player for 15 million? That is a lot of talent that can also be adjusted at the club already for half a year. And then you can just see how it works out. This could be an option for me also, but there has to be a fixed fee in the loan agreement this time. And if it's 20 million, it's 20 million, but not loan him again like last season without a fee in it, because next season they will be asking 35 million for him. This is also an option for me still, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to throw one more thing into this, and then I will let Kabir also react. Maybe he has other ideas now. For me, honestly, a loan option is doable for me, but with the buy clause, so that we can buy him at the end of the season. And for me, if we're gonna buy him for like 20 million, that price that you're mentioning, only if he's willing to give in half of his salary. So he get half of his salary for a whole year. Ajax pays only half of that, so he has to make a sacrifice. I believe that Brobbey, because he wants to go back to Ajax, one way or another, he has to show that he really wants it and has to do a financial sacrifice for me. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Kabir, you can take it from here.
No, I think that look, I'm not a big fan of the loan agreement again, right? I think that it's it doesn't create any longevity. I think it's probably a little bit more disruptive than it is useful. Because let's say, if he has a really good season this year, and we're like, okay, cool, he fits into the system really well, and then he goes back to his club again, and like EyeJax was saying, they might ask for 35 million or 40 million. So yeah, I mean, I think I completely agree, actually. I think that, look, if we do go down the loan route, let there be a fixed fee and a price agreed now, a reasonable price agreed now, where we purchase him. But then by the same token, if we do that, and he has a terrible season and he's injured for 70% of it, then we're stuck with paying 20 million for a player who
no.
It doesn't work like that.
I want a one-sided option, same as with Ihatar, that we can buy him if we want him.
All right, okay, in that regard. Not loan and you have an obligation to buy. You mean there's an option?
This construction for me tackles also the problem that we can see how he develops for the whole season, if he's being fit, if he stays fit, and you do not have like the doubts that we have also during the season. You can just see how it plays out, and then you can still pay that amount of money.
Yeah.
If you pay it now for 25 million or 20 million up front, you will have the same doubts. But if you loan him with a fixed fee from your side, you can just decide after the season, do I want it or not?
Yeah.
And you can get somebody next to him to be at the club also, like a depth.
But then from Leipzig's point of view, like you said as well, the guy's got a 5-year contract. I mean, they're thinking, well, why would we do that? Because hang on, if he has a really awesome season, then you guys can get him for a reasonable price, so it's tricky, I think.
I think he made clear within the club, and I'm not saying that he should force it or something. It would be nice if he tries it, but
should.
I think he made his stand clear towards Leipzig that he wants to go to Ajax. So, and they are not going to use him probably because they didn't use him in the first half of the season that they had him also. So he's a bench player for them. So they can also be overplaying their hand, If Ajax decides to drop out, Not another team is going to pay 25 million for him now.
Manchester United.
No, man. I didn't react to that because I didn't have a chance. But that's BS, man. I cannot believe that United is.
Listen. Let's say I agree with you. I'm not taking this too seriously. But on the other hand, I was thinking, just right before I came here, and I was thinking, what if the situation occurs, right? That Ajax doesn't want to go and pay for Brobbey, and we don't end up buying him basically, or loan or whatever. So he's stuck with Leipzig. Leipzig doesn't want to play him. He's not in the first team plans. He's unhappy. He wants to move away. And the only way out for him is Erik ten Hag calling him and saying, listen, you want to come to Manchester United? Because Erik ten Hag values him. You can say whatever you want, but he values him. So I'm not saying it will happen, but there is a scenario in which this is possible.
I think
I'm serious.
No, but I think if Erik ten Hag really values him and really cares about his career, he wouldn't be calling him a Man United, because that's going to be a really bad step for him at this career. You think Erik ten Hag, as the new manager, as the revolution of Manchester United, as the guy who wants to start this new thing, how is it going to look if he's going to sign? One of the signings is going to be Brian Brobbey.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What was your reaction when we signed Kabir and Labiat?
To be honest with you, I didn't get excited by it. But I also knew that those were guys that Erik ten Hag played under. I got more excited by Haller.
Exactly. So he has a track record of doing these kind of things.
He does have a track record of doing these types of things. But Kabir and Labiat moving from Utrecht to Ajax within the Eredivisie is a logical step. A guy like Brobbey, who isn't having an impact for a mid-table or a team that isn't challenged for much in the Bundesliga. How is he going to try and go to the Premier League at the biggest club in the Premier League, historically, and make an impact there? It's going to look so bad for both parties involved, right?
Yeah, I have to agree with Kabir on this. 25 million for Manchester United. They are having problems already with the budget, with all the players they want from Ajax and with Frenkie de Jong and stuff. I cannot see spoiling 25 million on Brobbey. And also, what Kabir says makes sense. He's not a big name yet. He's not going to Manchester United and be the number one striker. So it would be a in-depth buy. Like for the depth in the team. Second striker, maybe third striker. And it will also be a problem with their own academy because they will have some talent there also. So it doesn't make any sense. I think it's BS, man.
I know, but EyeJax and Kabir, I'm not arguing against the logic behind it or the logic you guys are using. I'm just saying you guys are dismissing the whole scenario, and I'm saying there is a door open. There is a chance.
No, but what if, Juan? But what if we happen to pass on Brobbey, and we were thinking, okay, we're not going to do this, and then all other teams in the world already bought all their players, and then all of a sudden Messi gets settled at Paris Saint-Germain, and he can be bought for 20 million, and everybody bought their players already. Manchester United bought Brobbey for 25 million, and guess what? We have that 20 million in the bank still, man. It can happen,
No, but
football. I'm not saying it will, but it can happen.
You're going a little bit too far. You're stretching it with an example that is not the same, because there is a link between Ten Hag and Brobbey. That's why these players are being linked. I'm not saying it will happen. Again, you guys are arguing with me because I think it will happen. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there is
do you want Brobbey or do you want Messi? Come on, man. Do you want Brobbey or do you want Messi? Come on.
Messi, bro.
No, but the point is, Juan, there is a journalist who was sitting in one of his offices in Germany who works for the Bild who thought, do you know what? Erik ten Hag has done that with previous guys. Leipzig, Ajax. So that's just as easy as that was fabricated, just as much as there is a link. So the point I'm trying to make,
how sure are we that it's fabricated? We're not.
No, we don't know it's fabricated. Exactly. Well, first things first, we know that. I know we shouldn't look into this at all, and he said it tongue in cheek at the time as well. But he obviously made that remark in the press conference saying, "I'm going to follow Erik ten Hag to United," and then he goes, "No, I was just joking. Of course, I'm not going to do that."
In about 2 years. He said, not now.
I think there was an element, whilst that was said in a sort of humorical way. I mean, I think that the point is that there's an element of truth in it, in the sense that he knows it's not going to be the right move for him now. Who's this going to benefit? Which party is this going to benefit? It's not going to benefit United or him or Ten Hag's reputation.
But what is going to be his benefit to stay at Leipzig? if he is not going to play there. That's also something that I brought up. He cannot go to Ajax. He will be stuck at Leipzig. What else does he do?
You know what?
That doesn't have to do with the player. It doesn't have to do with the player. He wants to leave. He wants to go to Ajax. I'm positive of this. I do not think he wants to go to Manchester United at this stage of his career. It's the club that is asking money for him. So for him, it's a sad situation. If Ajax pulls away and just said, sorry, this is going to be too expensive for us, Brobbey is the one that will be sad. The Ajax fans also, he wants to go, but he doesn't have a say in it. If the club just says, sorry, you have a contract, we will ask 25 million for you, and if they don't pay up, then you have to just play with us and be on the bench.
Yeah, but
he has to deal with it.
He has to deal with it, but it won't work. At the end, I'm convinced he will go to Ajax because Leipzig doesn't want to end up with a player unhappy in their squad. They don't want to lose any money on him because keeping him will only decrease his value. So at the end, they will negotiate. I hope it will remain 15, but I'm afraid it will end up somewhere within the 18 and the 20.
Sabi, I can even live with 18, but they have to make sure that there is not a sell clause in it that if they sell him, that they have to pay 20% more
of course.
in the future.
Definitely.
So I'd rather pay 18 that you fully own him without any obligations in the future than pay 15 and have a 15%, 20% percentage in it again.
Yeah.
So
that I agree. From a business perspective, that I agree. Yeah. But if I recall correctly, it was at least Papimento and me. I don't know whether you were involved. We said 12 max. Otherwise, no deal. No deal.
Yeah.
So,
I understand.
As you said, when things change, just like with Bergwijn. Yeah, sorry, I'm coming back again with Bergwijn. But we were first happy. Like 24, 24, no, 24, no. But
Juan, I think we run out of time, man.
In the back.
Juan, I believe we run out of time. What do you think?
I think. Yeah, we made. I mean, we went full circle. Let me end with the final question on Bergwijn because Sabi already mentioned it.
Let Sabi go first, please.
No, final question. It's just basically a rate. I want a grade from you guys. How do you rate the transfer of Bergwijn? We got him. If you take everything into account, what grade would you give him? From 1 till 10, 10 is the highest, of course. I will leave Sabi is the last one to answer this one. So I will go with Kabir. EyeJax, you're second, and then we end the session.
Look, this might be controversial, but I'm going straight in 8.5. 8.5 out of 10. For the reasons that we've mentioned on this show, I'm not going to go into it again, but you know my reasons, and that's why I'm going to say 8.5 out of 10.
You were jumping up and down when you heard the news.
No, no. I wasn't one of those guys that was.
Yes, you were.
I wasn't doing hand hands or anything like that. No. I was just happy because it's a good player, quality addition, and it's over with now. You know, the saga is done.
Yeah, EyeJax.
Taking all into consideration, Juan, I give it an 8. I was not jumping up and down, but I do that rarely because there will be an earthquake then.
You can do that.
They can feel it in the other parts of the country, you know, if I jump up and down. But seriously, no. I do think beside the money, it's a lot of money. I'm happy with the player, and I'm happy with what he can add, and also happy that it is a 5-year deal. So overall, I think we'll be happy with his contribution this season. Hope he stays fit, and I think we will love him as a player. But he has to give some excuses first, you know, because that's what I said before, I do understand the sentiment that Sabi has. I have the same. I try to see it as an objective person also, you know, but as an Ajax fan, it hurt what he said when he gave that interview at Spurs at first, and also what he said in the past, never going to Ajax, you know. So, I would love to see him state something.
Apologize.
Maybe. But, you know, he was still a young kid, so maybe we should not take it too harsh, you know, like in his early 20s, but still it hurt. But overall, an 8, man. An 8 for me.
Sabi, it's all yours.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I would say I will give it I'm quite happy today, so I'll give it a narrow 6. Because of the fact that, I mean, if Haller was still in squad, I would give it a 3 because we would not need him, and we would not need him, and it will be too expensive. But now I'm taking that bad business aside, we do need such player with such profile. But as EyeJax said, the apologies need to come in because there are a lot of fans who are still emotional about the 18-19, and it hurt a lot. Especially
You included?
Of course, yeah. It was one of my darkest nights that loss. So
and
yeah,
that says a lot because
me.
he experienced some pretty dark nights in his life, man. So him saying that,
yeah, I'm the
something.
Batman. I'm the Batman. No, but no, but I mean, all with all, also that TikTok movie that he said, like, I won't go to Ajax. I don't see myself there, etc. PSV is the warmest club in my heart, etc. So it does something with a fan. But all with all, I blame it more Ajax than on him because it's, of course, he wants to come to Ajax. Probably he will come by bike. But yeah, I mean, narrow 6.